So anyway, we've got another rematch here between Ardeshir the Conqueror, TM, Recon, and the Viper. So, we've got Ardeshir, we've got Recon spawning here as the blue Rus player, the Viper as the red English player. So the matchup between two greats of the series. Recon really wants that quick hunting cabin for extra scouts. He's going to train his second out of his town center. Then go back to Ville production. Man, it's a nice little backyard that fella's got. Villagers wigging out there for Recon. He's managed to pinch this wolf straight out the front of Viper's base, so this is good for him. Viper, in the meanwhile, going to try pinching some of Recon's hunts, and last time they met, this really went Viper's way on one of these huntables. Oh, Viper just a little bit quicker on the deer carcass there. So it's important because every time you kill a deer that the Rus player was going to kill, you're going to rob them of the 10 gold. And you're going to slow down their bounty accumulation, which affects other gathering for them. Because their food gathering does get a bit of a boost here. This will take Recon up to 205, 210. It's nice, that's not as delayed as it was. I was having problems with it really being delayed. Actually, it was more of as the player, not as the spectator. So he's going to cross that 250 threshold. Which is going to speed up the villagers a little bit more. It also means these cabins do generate slightly more as well. Which is nothing huge, but early on it is what actually gives you the gold you need to actually get your H2 landmark and to maybe fit some early eco techs in, like Wheelbarrow coming out this time. But unlike last game where these guys faced, Recon's actually got the gold in the bank to go for the golden gate when he wants to. It's not going to be as delayed this time. Because I think last time these guys met, it was Rus versus Abbasid. And Viper won that. But Recon was a little bit unlucky, I feel, with his early game hunt bounty accumulation. Because from memory, I think he was about... I think he was struggling to hit the 250 mark. Because Viper actually pinched one of his hunts. So this game, it's a different story. I've actually, funnily enough, spoken to Recon about the game they last played before casting this one. Oh, big Ellie there for Viper as his town center item thing. Recon's just got the bell. Because, I mean, it makes sense, like, if he needs to ring the town bell, he can. Whereas, like, Viper over here, if he gets raided, he's fucked. He can't ring a town bell. What's he going to do? Get a giant, fucking gong or something and smack it on the side of the elephant? No, I don't think so, man. Like, look at the craftsmanship that went into that thing. That's not happening. So, feudal timing's pretty much the same time there. 4:35. And a very early fortress going up for Recon. He must be a little conscious about an early push here from the Viper, and on top of that, I mean, you do get the gathering steroid, so these villagers are going to get a 20% gather, well, drop-off bonus now. Is there really much out on the map still left to get? Because, I mean, we're talking about two of the best players in the world, so I think they're going to be pretty on top of the coverage of all the sheep and all the wolves, which, you know, in lower level play might occasionally get a bit missed. But here's what we're all waiting for. A fight between two scouts obscured by a couple of trees. What everyone's looking for in an early game Age of Empires 4 game. So we've got the stables coming out for Recon now. It's his first military production building, and it's coming in at about 6 minutes. While the Council Hall hasn't really seen any use from the Viper yet. But Recon, I think, did he run his scout back and see that? I don't know. If we go select only. Yeah, he's seen that, so Recon's aware about the Viper going to a second town centre. The Viper, he's only just seen the stables now. And there's knights in production, so a bit costly, but it also means that Recon's going to have all the army pressure his way for a little bit. But Viper already has that second town centre, and this is a lovely spot for it because, you know, he's going to want to throw a mill up near the town centre anyway, so it's going to be perfectly put there or there anyway. Give him a lot of gathering out of the deer, and he's straight on the gold. And this carcass is pretty much right in front anyway. See him even splitting everything up there, and yeah, he's going to get the mill. So Viper's actually investing a whole lot in eco at the moment. He's got the double villager production over the Rus player, but bearing in mind, Recon can he has gone for a town centre, he's just gone for the stables first. So, the Golden Gate letting Recon actually buy stone, rather than having to worry about gathering it. So he accrued enough between the hunting cabin and his early bounty kills that he's been able to squeeze in both a knight and do the stone conversion for his second town centre. So it's only marginally later than the Vipers. He's probably only down by a vill or two. Yes, we've got 29 to 30. Yeah, Recon's only down by a vill. And in the meantime, this means he's got the stables out in the field. Viper hasn't got any army out just yet, so the beauty of the Rus eco is that I think you can squeeze in that first production facility slightly quicker than the others while still going for a fairly quick, you know, one production facility into town centre build. So right now, there's a handful of scouts, a horseman and a knight. They're not really engaging anything at the moment. Recon's just looking to try and pick off any scouts he can. I can't see Viper's second scout, so I think he must have actually picked off one. Yeah, he has picked off one of the scouts. It's amazing how much yelling the scouts do. Their throats must be sorer than mine by the end of the game. So Viper managing to find the one sheep that didn't get picked up in the first 6 minutes in the game between these two. And somehow Recon is aware of where Viper would have been scouting. It's amazing these two players, the level of game sense that they've got. But these guys, I don't think they're even going to be able to catch the scout. Like, they'll be able to do charging and get a couple of hits off, but it's not really going to be anything major. There already are some longbows out in the field, so these guys are going to be Bit of a threat to Recon's scouts now. Ooh, and it is just going to make it out on one hit. So it can actually regen, just like this guy over here. And it's important, I mean, the scouts, you know, you probably think, oh, at this stage of the game, they're just sunk food. Like, what do they give me? Well, they can tank a hit or two. If they do that and save a horseman, for instance, you know, it's a bit of value. Like, see, Viper able to pick off that horseman, but pretty much on any level of play lower than this, it's a lot harder to actually focus down things that aren't just the scouts. And on top of that, I mean, you might as well have them there for the damage anyway. They're going to regen anything they do tank if they can get out. But yeah, Viper picking off a horseman there, not really a huge deal. Because both our players are going to age 3 now. So King's Palace, Viper's got 3 town centre. Recon's going to have his 2nd town centre already. Well, he's already got that. And he's going to have his age 3 landmark, which is the Abbey. And so Viper's able to keep Recon busy around the map with just scouts at this stage, which is pretty impressive. But I mean, he's not really leaving anything terribly exposed. I mean, even if Recon was to say, raid this, Viper's only got to come back to here and have everything garrisoned here. Everything here garrisoned quickly, and he can turn that around quite quickly. English town centre, or Chinese town centre in particular, you've got to be careful of. Because that little bit of extra damage they're going to do when you're trying to raid. And I mean, if you don't get a villager and you lose a knight, that's a big blow. Got a lot of rangers here for Recon, who's going to go for a horse archer composition actually. Oh yeah, so he's got 2 stables, 2 rangers. Viper in the meanwhile has only got a couple of barracks and has been producing some range out at the council hall. He hasn't actually taken that veteran upgrade yet. So Recon's already actually got both his ranged damage and ranged armor. Ranged armor is really important in this matchup because English is always going to have a lot of range damage. Viper's building the blacksmith all the way at the back of his base. Nice and secure. Right now, Total Pop's favouring Viper, and so is Eco Pop at 65, but Army Pops are the same, and I think just given the fact that there's Knights and Horse Archers out in the field, I think things are a little bit Recon's way at the moment in terms of the army comps. There's even a couple of man-at-arms just to tank some damage, because the spears are going to be a lot squishier against the horse archers, while man-at-arms, even though they don't get a bonus against them, they're going to be a little bit tankier. Ooh, but Recon's only 10 gold. Recon is 10 gold off the 3rd tier of his hunting cabin tech, so I wonder if at any stage, is there even a ball for him to go to? There is this guy over here. Ooh, well, I think... Did Recon take it? I'm imagining Recon must have taken it, because he's taken a lot of damage on that knight. And I don't remember him being that high up anyway. The man-at-arms being focused down first. So there's not really going to be much of a front line left here for the Viper, and he's going to have to try and get out. There's some good use of his little sticks there, his palings. But he's having to kite Recon pretty hard now. He's got a mix of knights and horsemen to tank a bit of damage here. Recon, in the meanwhile, is going to go for a sacred site because he knows he's got map control. A great paling use here from the Viper. But Recon's able to just keep pushing, and I don't know Do the palings only like apply once, or have you got to wait for them to set up fully, or because Recon just seemed to march straight over the top there? So Viper is really stuck with only a handful of units here in this little choke. Recon's got a much bigger force, and he's just killing everything that pops out at the moment. Viper hasn't actually started garrison anything yet because he'd rather get the gathering in to be able to produce so much. Because I mean, he is up to, what's that, 5 racks, 6 racks, and 2 range. He's got his own armory techs kicking in now. So range damage upgrade 2's kicked in. Maybe a little bit of a swing back towards his way, because now Recon's not really ahead in both ranged armor and damage. Yeah, so the Horseman on the Knight's going to take a little bit more damage here, but I think Recon's definitely got a nice army control here. I mean, a nice army comp here that's going to be hard for Viper to be able to break. He is going to get a defensive keep. I think in the meantime, Recon's actually managed to pinch pretty much all the relics. He's pinched the sacred sites. So his eco behind this is just massive. He's closed the gap of not having that third town center really, because he's got that gold gen for free. That's a bit of a stopgap. So right now the onus, I guess, is on Viper to try and not lose too much eco behind this. And just try and mass up what he can, because Recon's is really overwhelming him at the moment. But bearing in mind, Viper still has 3 villager production. Recon only has 2 build production. So Viper's trying to mass up as many longbows as he can. Because I mean, these guys are good against the horse armor. Horse archers. Gonna be better than crossbowmen will be against them. And I mean, he can always rely on spears to ward off knights and horsemen. Recon's managing to raid Viper in a couple of spots at once here and really deny a lot of gathering. Go for an aggressive keep of his own. But it is under a little bit of threat in the sense that Viper's got some units over here. Recon's having to try and bring this army back to reinforce, I think. That was a nice TC spot as well for Viper, because he's actually controlling that relic. It's the one relic Recon hasn't been able to pinch so far, who's up to 4. But it looks like this keep is going to get delayed for now. In the meantime, Recon setting himself up for a sacred victory. So I don't think he's going to get, because the game's going to run for more than 10 minutes beyond this, but that's a great amount of gold gen. It's like holding 3 more relics. Ooh, Recon might actually be able to get this. In fact, yeah, if he just sends these vills up once that fortress is done, he could probably finish this keep if he wants. But now there's a good critical mass of longbow, so it's going to be hard for Recon to actually engage here without dropping a lot of his own units. So Vill Pops, we're looking at 91 for Recon to 83 for Viper. So all the raiding by Recon, he has actually managed to give himself a Vill lead, even though he is not on an even town center count or an advantageous one. It's a nice snipe there too, because Viper, having transitioned to markets, is going to basically have 4 eco unit production versus Recon's 2. But like I said, if Recon can keep this pressure up, then there's no reason why he can't continue to stay ahead in terms of eco pop. He's just got to be careful to not lose too many of the horse archers or the knights, because they're not very cheap. But he's really keeping the pressure on. He's getting good pickoffs of the longbowmen as well, because bearing in mind, if he can stop the Viper from having a critical mass of longbows, then trying to defend in this position gets a whole lot harder. Viper, in the meanwhile, is doing a great job at getting his getting his techs behind this and trying to mass up enough of a force to repel this. And I mean, English garrisons here are really helping him out a little bit, but he's going to have to come up with an answer for Trebs. He does actually have Trebs of his own. He's making them out of the keep. Oh, so being English, Viper can actually make most units, well, pretty much any unit out of the keep. While being Rus, Recon's got to try and have the keep here long enough that he can mass up some Trebs out of the workshop. So some nice defense here from Viper, but at the same time, Recon is slowly chipping away at one of these landmarks. Although he probably would be best off maybe focusing down on the barracks first, I don't know. Because it's going to take a while for a single Treb to get all that down, whereas he could probably take down 2 Raxes in the meantime. Nice reposition of the cavalry there for Recon, and he's just got so much that it's still proven to be ever the challenge for the Viper to actually mass out and break this hold. So this contain's been going really well for Recon. One of the Trebs has been sniped and the other one's got to go back, while the Treb over here is going to eventually get this council hall. It just takes a while because it's a landmark. And a new central TC is like 3 times as tanky as a normal one. But oh, in the meantime, there is a raid going on. So the Viper's going to pinch back one of the sacred sites. And there's enough cav to clean up these longbowmen pretty easily. Recon is bringing basically everything back to clean up the man-at-arms, because they are going to be quite a bit tankier. The Knights don't just run through them like a hot knife through butter, and the horse archers as well. Recon's actually just going to let the cabin go. Or is he going to send someone to repair it? He's just going to let it go. This other cabin over here, not worth anywhere near the gold, he's going to save it. But this one's actually got, you know, reasonable income. Half a gold a second, basically. But it's going to fall. I don't think it's a macro cabin. I think he just put it there because he would have had a deer or a boar, maybe. People at this level don't make macro cabins because you just get punished way too fucking hard for it. So the pressure still being mounted, but Viper sent a single spear, a low single spear, to deny this sacred, which is really nice. Or actually, what it might have done is maybe fought off a warrior monk. But anyway, this means that Viper's at least cutting into that free gold gen that Recon's getting behind this push, but he's going to have to find a comp to mass up and break this hold with. And that starting town center for Viper is going to fall pretty soon. Well, the keep for Recon's going to fall pretty soon because Viper's managed to mass up 4 Trebs behind this. Although there are 3 Springalds to start raining a bit of hell here. So this is going to be a tough fight for Viper because Recon's going to be able to stop the Trebs from being any great use here. And he still... Viper still doesn't quite have the damage to go toe-to-toe with the front line of Recon. Recon having a retreat here, but he's still... I think he's up in yeah, he's up by about 45 population at the moment, so it's a pretty nice spot for him to be in. Not so nice spot for the Viper to be in at the moment. Recon actually cleaning up that sacred site, so it's nice awareness from him. And another aggressive keep. You can tell these guys are high level H2 players because they don't think it's BM, they think it's a good strategy to just keep straight next to right on top of where your opponent's original town center was. Like, that's such an Age of Empires 2 player thing. So again, the Viper having to try and repel the I was going to say the Mister, but it's not. Sorry, it's Recon. Trying to repel Recon, but without sort of anything heavy other than Man-at-Arms here. What's going to stick around to actually survive and fight Knights long enough? Like, Longbowmen have great range, but... Ah, here we go. Viper's trying to focus down as many of the Horse Archers as possible. Recon just has stacks in the bank, while the Viper is not far off being broke. He's trying to get the stone here to get some more keeps in order to replace town centers. Probably keeps. Oh, Recon's still got all this down here just chilling. I was going to say, he's nearly maxed, but he's not actually really got that large of an army up here. Does have plenty of Springolds, but yeah, he's just kept these Horse Archers here. 18 of them, actually. That's quite a bit of pop. I don't know if it's going to matter here, because he's doing a great job at breaking the Viper with what he's got currently. And every time these Springolds manage to snipe one of these Trebs, it's a big blow to the army of the Viper, because they're not a cheap unit to field. Recon's still got these guys parked here. But I think he's that far ahead it's not going to matter, because he is maxed out now. The Viper's only on 126 pop, so we've got 65, 135 to 117, 13. So 13 military pop versus 65. Things are looking a little dire for the Viper at the moment. He has managed to gather a lot of stone, so is he going to go for another keep somewhere? Oh, okay, so I think Recon's realised he had those Horse Archers down the bottom there. Oh, he hasn't even realised all of them. But he's found this pack of 16 of them, and I think this might be all he needs to, you know, break the Viper from here. He's done a really good job at trying to gather through this aggression. He's going to fall down to one town centre now. Age 4 for Recon. The Viper's up to 120 eco pop though, so bearing in mind he's not terribly far behind in terms of his gathering and production capability, but he just doesn't really have much in the bank, and he's not maxed yet. So it's going to be tough, considering Recon's now brought everything forward. And so a keep, very defensive, just wants to protect that last town centre of his, and one of his last landmarks. But it's not going to last, because Recon's already on the job. Oh, this has been a great addition of crossbowmen here for the Viper, and it's really cut through the front line of Recon, while his Horse Archers, without one, because they're being focused by the Longbowmen, can't really cost effectively last against those. So Recon's now retreated under his little fortress encampment here. So he's got Springald emplacements on everything here. He's even going to go cannon emplacement there on the keep. And GG. Recon takes down the Viper.